Hello, people of YouTube, coming to shut down bunch tight end. Now, before I start this video, I want to promise you, I'm going to give you a guarantee that you will shut down everybody's bunch tight end once you see this defense. Now, let's begin. Now, before I actually get into it, I want to thank Deuce Close. Deuce Close actually came up with the concept of this matchup responsibility, or manning up people to make the quarters match differently. So this is actually a rendition of his cover 4 cross. I'll drop that video in the description. It goes over how it works against tight offset trips and other formations like that. It's built off this concept, and he actually posted that video in Madden 21. I was just able to apply it this year to stop bombs and other plays. So if you want to check out the creator of the concept, make sure to check out Deuce Close. I got the kind of idea from him from Madden 21. I've just been running it all year and kind of mastering it to stop the meta formation. So the first thing I want to show you is I'm just going to come out and PA boot over. And before anyone says anything, I put Rondell Moore on that outside post, 94 speed. And the guy he's going to be going against, I guess going against to some instance, is he's going to be running towards Buda Baker with 91 speed. So if you want to complain about speed differentials, I'm actually putting myself in a disadvantage. Now, let's get into it. So the play I come out in, especially if you've seen the TikTok already, is cover 4, show 2, out of the nickel 335 wide formation. That's my favorite formation in the game right now. You see all the pros run it. It makes sense. It's a great form. 335 wide. I can show you exactly how to shut everything down. But you can run it out of any cover 4 quarters, right? So I'll give you an example. You can run this out of nickel normal cover 4 quarters, or nickel 335 doesn't have a cover 4 quarters, or big nickel over G cover 4 quarters, right? The biggest thing that you need to know is you need to have zone drops on, right? That's the biggest thing. If you don't have zone drops on, they'll run their proper matching principles and they won't actually match to the deep post or the other routes that I'll show you later in the video. Now, my preferred way to run this is with 10-yard curl flats and 30-yard flats, right? I'm just going to call cover 4 show 2. I like base aligning. It keeps the quarter back, because if the quarter is pressed, sometimes, especially in MUT when it's 99 speed versus 99 speed, it'll just get bypassed. So I just like base aligning. I don't even like pressing. I think it also allows more of the flat integrity so you don't get beat to the outside. But I like 30-yard flats and 10-yard curl flats. You could run 5-yard curl flats if it's a late down and then it's like 3rd and 3, or you really want to stop the flats. They're really just chucking flats. You can go to that. But I like the 10-yard curl flats. They're safer. They stop those intermediate routes. So you can go with what you'd like. Now the play I'm going to call here is PA boot over against my cover 4 show 2. So the basic shell that I like in this instance is I like to blitz my user, right? That's a huge thing. You can't have a 3-rec on the field. I like to man up the running back, cross man him with this free linebacker, because usually you're not sending 4. So right now he's manned up with Chandler Jones. I will shade up because quarter flats suck. Don't ever use a quarter flat unless you're like actually running match out of cover 4 quarters. So just not with zone drops on. Now, I will cloud both guys. And before you say, yeah, you'll get beat with the streak, you'll get beat with the streak. The clouds don't exactly give up that they're clouds. They don't directly tell your opponent. If it was a 5-yard cloud, sure, you'd see that it would drop down. But because it's a 30-yard baseline cloud, it plays really, really deep, and it's hard for them to notice that it's a 30-yard cloud. Especially someone who doesn't see this defense or just sees you come out and cover 4 quarters on previous play because you're on all pro, for example, right? They can't see that it's a cloud. But if someone does see your player for whatever reason, what they'll do is they'll likely motion this guy out and put him on a streak, right? And in that instance, yes, the cloud would be beaten to some instance. Okay, quick correction. I actually lied to you guys. Notice how I said, yeah, if they see your play art, right? So here's the play art. They can just put a streak and motion them out like so, right? I'll just block 7 here. Well, actually, that's wrong. The defense just gets better and better. I noticed this happened a lot in game. The 30-yard cloud will play it deep enough, and then it'll get matched by the quarter. So they actually can't do that. So, yeah, even if they see your player, they're kind of cooked. You know what I mean? The only thing they could really do is motion someone out to the other side, like here. But even then, I'm in inside zone, unfortunately. But if Rondell Moore was on a streak here, I'll actually reset here. If Rondell Moore was on a streak and he was on the other side, and I'm going to run the exact same combo, the quarter would still match it. I'm going to show you again. And this is actually short side, so it should be even better. So let's say they motion over a streak. They really want to beat your amazing cover 4 quarters that you got from Swole Awesome on YouTube, right? So the setup on offense looks like this, and you're in the exact same setup on defense, right? Just the man-up running back. They roll out, they're like, yeah, I really got this guy now. But the quarter will still match it. And it'll usually be a pick. It's almost like they're screwed, because they are. Now let's get back into the video. Now I'm going to go over to the defense. So all I do here, sorry for rambling, all I do here is man up the running back, double, cloud, and shade up. Now all this does is it tells the quarters, like this Buda Baker here especially, it tells the quarter, okay, the running back's now manned up, I can cover the deep post myself. So I'm just going to spy him in this instance to show you how I can roll out. So I'm just going to do the basic civil setup, drone setup. The best way to run PA boot over for the bomb is this way. So all you do is you roll out. But you'll notice this time that Buda Baker actually does play it, right? And I do have a speed disadvantage. Keep this in mind. Buda Baker's 91 speed. Rondon Moore is 94 speed. And he does match it. Now, I'm going to show you a couple things that I want to mention. If I, for example, press, right? And I do the exact same setup, right? I do something like this, right? I'll spy everybody again. With a speed disadvantage, it may get beaten. I don't want you guys, the defense doesn't work. So if you do press and they throw it right about there, you'll notice that the quarter does actually get bypassed. So I wouldn't recommend pressing, and if you do press, you kind of want this quarter to still be about 10 to 15 yards back from the line of scrimmage. So just keep that in mind. You don't want him down here. You want him about like there, right about I'd say at least over 10 yards. I'd say 12 yards behind the line of scrimmage at the bare minimum. So I don't recommend pressing. I like the typical baseline. Just the spots they're already in is the best way to do it. You don't actually have to baseline either. So if you didn't baseline and you baseline press like this, all that would matter is that this guy was still backed off a little bit. You could still run it like this, will still work. I'll show you. So man, I'll send 3 in this time. Doesn't matter. And you'll notice it'll still cover it. All that really matters is that quarter's position. That's the biggest part that, actually garners the safety for this defense. But the running back man up is the most important thing, right? The quarter backup is important, but the running back man up is important, and I can't emphasize that enough. Now I'm going to show you what happens if the running back is not manned up. This is very important. This adjustment is very important. So if he's not manned up, as so I've just spied the 4 guys, right? I've left everything else basically the same. So if the running back's not manned up, I'm going to watch the quarter for me. I'm going to watch the quarter. You'll notice that the quarter will actually run straight towards that running back wheel. And that's because the running back is not manned up. It's incredibly important to have that running back manned up, or the quarter will drop down to the wheel. When he's manned up, the quarter says, okay, I'm not worried about that running back wheel anymore. I'm going to cover the post. And that's how you stop the PA boot over bomb. Now, once again, there's another way to run it. So let's say the person you don't want to have clouds on the field. You're really worried about those streaks, right? You could run this the exact same way and leave the quarters. It doesn't actually matter. This is what I like to do when someone's coming out in bunch and I don't like having 30-yard clouds on the field, just in case I want a hard flat against bunch or something like that, and they're audibling from bunch to bunch tight end, or they're audibling from trips to bunch tight end, or something like that, where I wouldn't want 30-yard clouds, right? I'll just run 10-yard curl flats, and I will leave the quarters on the field. And the quarters are very similar to the 30-yard clouds. They play a similar location, so you can be pretty safe knowing the quarters are on the field, and you don't have to worry about the streaks anymore, which is another thing. Let's go to the next play. I guess the next most common play in bunch end is curl flat corner. Now, curl flat corner, I'm going to show you against the regular defense. It's really good. Let's say you run a setup like that. Some people do this. It really doesn't matter. They're targeting that corner every time. So let's do something like, let's say this, right? Super simple combo. The corner out looks like it gets really, really deep, but I'll show you the 30-yard cloud actually will play it, and the streak will be covered by the quarter. The curl, you can kind of use her. It doesn't really matter. It's such a risky read for them in that side of the field, especially if your user is sitting there. They won't throw it. The running back will be covered by the man up. Now, I'm just going to quickly set up the defense. So this is, in essence, the defense that I've showed the entire time. I'm going to show you what happens when they try to run this combo. So let's say they want to throw it to Christian Kirk here. The 30-yard cloud actually sits right there. Even with the rollout, it's a pick. They can't throw the streak. They can't throw the flat. And if they do throw the flat, it's a gain of like 3-4 yards because you have 10-yard curl flats. And once again, if they're spamming the flats, you can switch your curl flats to about 5 yards. So you'll notice that guy's covered. If they throw it early, usually your guy will come down to it. And the flat's sitting there. You're just kind of waiting for it. If they want to get 3 yards, they can have it. Most people won't do that. And actually, my curl flat will kind of run towards the curl because it's a curl flat. If there's no flat to that side, which there wasn't, he'll run to that curl late. But that's basically how you stop a curl flat corner. Super simple. Now, everything sort of changes when they're in the Kansas City Chiefs playbook. Not everything, just one thing actually. When they run triple out. Now, triple out is only in the Kansas City Chiefs playbook. It's the best bunch tight end playbook. Well, best bunch tight end in general. And I wouldn't say it's the best bunch tight end playbook, but it is what it is. Now I'm going to call the exact same play. I'm going to call cover 4, show 2. And if you run the adjustments from before, which are very safe against every type of bunch tight end except Kansas City, and you man up the running back, you do everything normally, you'll notice that when they run drive out, and the most common combo for drive out is they do this. It's actually just very simple. They just streak him, they out route run. They streak Christian Kirk, they out route Rondell Moore, the outside guy. And they run it. And you'll notice that this corner route gets wide open, right? It gets way over the 30-yard cloud. It's like a 60-yard corner route. Of course it's going to get over the 30-yard cloud. But there is a very simple adjustment that maintains the integrity here. So let's say you want that quarter to match it, right? That's what matters to you. You could, I guess, third Wilson here, which is a fine adjustment. But you really want to catch them off guard. And the thing is with this defense is that the quarters will match things slightly late, but it'll still be covered. So people will throw the ball unknowing to the quarter about to match it, and it'll be an easy pick. So I'll run these exact same adjustments, except I will man up triangle here, right? That's the only thing I'll change. So I would make my user kind of responsible for this flat if someone here goes on the flat, which is fine. But so let's say this is the adjustments now. All I'm doing is manning up the slot, which is telling this quarter says, okay, now that the slot's manned up, I will go cover DeAndre Hopkins on the 60-yard corner route. So I'm going to run the exact same setup. And now that that slot's manned up, or Christian Kirk, you'll notice that the quarter actually matches DeAndre Hopkins. Just like that, right? It's the easiest way to guard bunch tight end. And before you say, does this stop the PA boot over bomb? It does. The exact same setup stops the PA boot over bomb. So let's say you do this, man up, and you just set it up like so, right? Very easy stuff. It's set up. Now they run the exact PA boot over bomb from before. I just set it up. They roll out. You'll notice that it is actually covered even more so because the quarter passes him off, right? The left quarter says, okay, I'm not responsible from the streak. He's going to hold the post a little longer, and then the quarter on the tight end side will match it almost better than without it, right? So that's your option if they're in the Kansas City Chiefs playbook. If they're not, I recommend keeping the flat on it. There's only one really way to find out. If you see them audibling from bunch, they're usually not in the Kansas City Chiefs playbook, or they are not. Now, let's go over inside zone, right? And I know, inside zone, why were we going over inside zone? The inside zone in bunch tight end is actually really good. Inside zones are almost better than bases this year. And if someone's trying to clock you in bunch tight end, they're going to go to this inside zone, or they're going to go to the bubble. It's the same shoot. So I'm going to call inside zone here. And I'm going to show you the exact setup I would run against the best possible bunch tight end. So what I would do is I would shade up as usual, man up the running back, double cloud, and I'd man up the slot, right? So it looks like this. The important thing that I'm doing here, though, is I'm spreading my D-line and crashing out. And I will pinch my linebackers. It doesn't really do much. And I'll sit right here, even though my blitz radar is up. It's fine. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to shoot this inside zone. And I want to make sure you guys are fully capable of shutting down bunch tight end, just like I am. So if you want to shut down this inside zone, you need to sit right in the B gap. That's the important part. In the B gap. So the B gap is between the right guard and the right tackle. They're always going to run it to the left if they're running inside zone, because if they run it to the right, the handoff is a lot slower. So all you're going to do is you're going to run straight down. And when I say run straight down, I don't mean tap R2. you need to hold the left stick down almost to the point where you're not moving. You hear a lot of pro players talking about this. So you sit right here, you put it in a diagonal. So I'd say it's about 7 o'clock on, if you're looking at the time direction. So it's a diagonal to the bottom left on your left stick, and you do not tap R2. And as soon as they call inside zone, you just dive at their knees, right? Easy tackle for a loss. That could save you an entire game, especially with how difficult defense is. Do the exact same setup. I'm gonna sit there, hold the stick to the point where I'm not really moving, but it's still down in my hand. And I'm gonna snap the ball. Easy tackle for a loss. And that's basically how to shut down bunch tight end. That pretty much completes it. That's how to shut down bunch tight end. Of course, you can mix in a little blitzing gun of cover 2 or a little cover 3, but that'll shut down the majority of the money plays in the bunch tight end formation. The next tip video that will be coming out is how to completely shut down trips tight end, and even more meta offense. I even have some gameplay afterwards for the trips tight end gameplays or trips tight end guides. So make sure to stay tuned. Hit the sub button to make sure you get notified or are aware of these tip videos coming out. I want to get you guys to that top 100 weekend league. I don't want you guys losing to these meta scum. Peace out, man. Thanks for watching.